This year's Asian Cup has been crazy to say the least. Japan, who were the heavy favorites heading into this tournament and were expected to cakewalk this competition, finished second in their own group behind Iraq. This is the team that was on an 11-game winning streak and demolished powerhouses like Germany. That is just one of the many surprises that we have seen so far. So let's review what happened in the group stages and also what we can expect is going to happen in the knockout round.
ثقة منتخب العراق البحث عن العرضية جول خودش پاس عالی برای مهدی قادی داخل محوطه جریمه یه گل خوشگل دیگه عجیب اتجاه هیدوس آف تسدیده الله
in the step of Tajikistan now flick header.
The tournament started with the defending champs Qatar playing Lebanon, and it was a comfortable 3-0 victory with Akram Afif scoring a brace. The other matchup in Group B was Tajikistan versus China, which ended in a goalless draw even though Tajikistan had so many great chances to win the game. In the second round of games, Qatar played Tajikistan. It was a controversial game, where you could argue Tajikistan got robbed depending on whether you consider the referee intervening with the play here. If you ask me, it was 100% an interference and the goal should not have stood. Anyways, Qatar won because of that goal. As for the other game, China played Lebanon. It ended in another goalless draw. Both teams had good chances and China were so close to scoring a goal, but a goal line clearance prevented them from getting the 3 points. In the last round of group stage games, Tajikistan played Lebanon in what was one of the most entertaining and dramatic games of the group stages. Lebanon scored early in the second half and it looked like they were going to progress, but then they went down to 10 men. Tajikistan scored from a free kick, and in extra time, this crazy header by Nuruddin won Tajikistan the game. In their first ever appearance at the Asian Cup, not only Tajikistan played really well, but they also automatically qualified for the knockout round. A country with a population of less than 10 million qualified, but not China, which has a population of 1.4 billion people. The Chinese lost to the Qataris in their last game, and Hassan Al-Haidis scored the goal of the tournament so far in my opinion. Group B had Australia, Uzbekistan, Syria, and India. The first match was between Australia and India. Despite being far below Australians on paper, India did put up a good fight, keeping things leveled heading into the second half. But shortly after, they conceded and went on to lose 2-0. Uzbekistan, who many have high hopes as being the dark horses, didn't start too well. They drew against Syria, though to be fair, they have lost a lot of key players due to injuries, with their striker Shumaradov being the main one. But anyways, they did bounce back with a dominant performance against India, a 3-0 win. As for Australia, they won, but in all their matches, it felt like they were very fortunate and lucky, as was the case also on the last day where they finished ahead of Uzbekistan after getting a questionable penalty. And Syria also beat India to qualify as one of the best third-place Finnish teams. A heartwarming interaction took place between the Syrian reporter and translator after the game over their team qualifying for the knockout round. All in all, this was a pretty disappointing tournament for India. Them and China were the only teams that didn't even score a goal. Group C ended up how we expected. Iran played Palestine in the first round. It was a dominant performance from Iran, and scoring a very early goal threw away all of Palestine's game plan as they just couldn't sit back anymore. UAE defeated Hong Kong 3-1 as expected, and that would be Hong Kong's only goal of the tournament. In the second round, Iran, despite winning the match, showed a very lackluster performance. I think the players underestimated their opponents. As for the other match, Palestine's hope of reaching the knockout rounds were revived after an own goal equalizer from UAE. And honestly, they deserve to walk away with something from that game. If it weren't for the UAE goalkeeper, they probably would have won. On the last day, Iran beat UAE as expected, and it was a very much improved showing. But UAE did score a last-minute goal, which meant even though they lost, they finished above Palestine because of goal difference. Luckily for Palestine, they beat Hong Kong, which got them qualified as one of the third-place teams. a remarkable achievement for them considering the situation going on back home. I don't think even Iraqis predicted they would finish above Japan, but that's what happened. Right away, Japan started off with a shaky performance against Vietnam, where at one point they were losing 2-1 before they woke up and shifted gears. At the same time, Iraq beat Indonesia. They also had a scarce moment. Indonesia equalized, but Iraq ended up winning by the end. And then it happened. One of the most shocking results of the tournament so far. Iraq beat Japan 2-1, completely turning the table and changing the brackets. The other game was also huge as Indonesia and Vietnam battled for third place. Indonesia narrowly won, picking up 3 huge points. The last round of games didn't matter too much as Iraq were already guaranteed to finish first. Japan beat Indonesia 3-1 and Iraq beat Vietnam 3-2 in an exciting game. You got a feel for Vietnam not even walking away with a point. They scored 4 goals against 2 of the best teams in their group. Group E turned out to be another chaotic group. Even though a lot of people who followed Korea closely already knew it wasn't going to be easy, because Klinsmann seems to be very disconnected from his team. A great performance from Kang In Lee rescued Korea against Bahrain, while Jordan demolished Malaysia 4-0. In the next round, cracks started appearing as Korea drew against Jordan, and Bahrain beat Malaysia. Malaysia did walk away with something in the last round as they picked up a point against Korea, and Bahrain beat Jordan, which meant they finished first ahead of Korea. Though, to be honest, finishing second might have actually been in Korea's favor, as they avoided facing Japan. Finally, Group F. Saudi Arabia finished first as expected, beating Oman in their opener. The other game was between Thailand and Kyrgyzstan, where Thailand won. In the second round, Oman and Thailand drew goalless, while Saudi Arabia beat Kyrgyzstan. This was a very boring group because in the last round, both games ended up in a draw. The Saudi and the Thailand game was a goalless draw, and the Oman and Kyrgyzstan game was a 1-1 draw. Now, time for my round of 16 predictions. The first game is between Tajikistan and UAE. And my pick are Tajikistan. They have been very impressive so far. Their coach is such a likable person and the vibes around the team are great. Next, Iraq versus Jordan. If Iraq continue playing how they played in the group stages, then they should have no problem winning this game. Australia versus Indonesia is up next. Again, as I said, Australia have kind of been lucky so far and the luck could very well run out soon. But I still see them getting past Indonesia in this game. One of the bigger games in round of 16 is Saudi Arabia versus South Korea. If Saudis were a bit more dominant in group stage, then I would feel comfortable picking them. But they didn't impress me as much as I thought they would, and as horrible as Korea have been, I expect their individual quality to be enough to beat the Saudis. Iran versus Syria is pretty straightforward. Iran should comfortably win. Next up is Bahrain versus Japan. As we went over, Japan have kind of been a hit or miss so far. If they performed even 60% of what they showed prior to this tournament, they will be my clear favorites. But judging from what we have seen so far, I wouldn't underestimate Bahrain. Either way, I think similar to Korea, Japan have too much individual quality, so I think they will go through. Palestine have exceeded expectations and fought so well so far. But my pick is the defending champs, Qatar. And lastly, Uzbekistan versus Thailand. The Uzbeks should win this game. These were my predictions. If you disagree with any of them, let me know why in the comments. I will visit these predictions in the near future. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help out the channel, please leave a like. Until the next time.